Hey patrons, there's something I'm going to be trying today and I wanted to take you guys on this adventure with me. It might not end up working out, but it's something that I think I'll at least get some experience with and hopefully you guys can learn something too. Now on our website we haven't sold t-shirts yet, and we've been looking into direct-to-garment printing, where we go through a website, order a certain kind of t-shirt, and our image would be printed through a printing machine onto the t-shirts. Those shirts would either be mailed to us and we'd sell them on our store, or they would be sold on our store through their shop, so it would be like drop shipped from them. There's a lot of different kinds of challenges with that system. There's some quality control issues, there's time, there's certain design limitations, and we wanted to try doing our own shirts in-house with screen printing. I've never done screen printing before, but I have watched a bunch of awesome YouTube tutorial videos, and I wanted to give the process a try. If it doesn't work out, the screen printer we got will just have to resell and then maybe go the direct-to-garment route. With screen printing, there's a bunch of different other things we can do besides t-shirts, like custom posters, put stuff on hats or bags or fabric, or really anything you can fit under the screen print. So a couple months ago, I started figuring out what kind of supplies I needed. We're gonna start with water-based screen printing ink instead of the older kind of ink. This is partially because we already had it. We've really enjoyed these speedball inks for our costuming, just putting it into foam, like mixed with liquid latex. So we thought we would try learning the water-based screen printing first. This process I think takes longer to dry, but the way that the inks are now, they're a lot easier to work with than they used to be. I mean, really, with the way technology is advancing, it's really hard to go wrong with whatever method you try. I got a giant bin for the actual screen so I can wash it. And speaking of washer, I got a water-based ink degrader to clean off the screen. I got one squeegee. Start with one. I got a durometer that was recommended on their website. And I also got adhesive. So this sticks the t-shirt down to the platen so it doesn't move around if you're doing multiple colors. And this will all make sense when I start actually trying to print on shirts. So in order to screen print, first you need a screen. We looked into making our own, but I'm trying to take a lot of the guesswork out of the equation to make sure I'm doing it right. So our first ones we got printed through an online company called Anthem Screen Printing. These just look really rad. There's one of them. So the way it works is the color you see won't let the ink go through, and the ink will go through this part. And this is a registration. This is another registration. You mask off the edges with tape. If you get messy and go over the edge, you can just mask all of that off. Take the paint, put it up here. Take your squeegee and squeegee it down like that, and that will transfer the ink to the shirt below. So you can do this by hand, just lightly place it on a shirt and try and hold it in place and squeegee it, but it's way easier to do with a machine. And we also want to try different colors, and lining up different colors is a nightmare when you're trying to do it by hand. So like for instance, this Punished Props one you'll notice is missing the center of the symbol and missing the word Academy. That's because it's on a different sheet down below. So we got this one and that one. So first you'll do one color and then let the shirt dry, and then you'll do the next one. So to line all of this up, there are special screen printing machines. For the machine, I was looking around on websites like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace to find a used screen printing machine, and those do exist. They're kind of hard to find though for the specific one I want. I don't want a giant one that has more than 4 color holder things. So each screen is held by a different panel and you can do up to 4 colors. A lot of the ones I found were like 6 or 8, and that takes up way too much room. And I also kind of like the limitation of not doing a lot of different colors, kind of like a stylistic choice, but also for time saving. The ones that look like they might work out included all of the past inks and like shirts and squeegees and stuff, and like this giant expensive bundle. And a lot of that I don't want to use, and I don't want to take the time to resell, because really I just wanted like one squeegee, couple colors of ink, you know, some screens. I don't need a ton of extra screens. We might do one new design a month or maybe even longer than that. So I really wanted to limit myself with the stuff I started cluttering the shop with. So I just needed a screen printer. It was getting to the point where I was spending so much time researching that it made more sense for me to just buy a new one. I finally figured out kind of the size and type I wanted. So I just went to a screen printer website and ordered one online. It's the Ryonet Riley Hopkins Jr. Ta-da! Another nice thing about buying a new machine is I can take the issues of it being old and falling apart and maybe out of alignment out of the equation. This thing is fresh from the factory. I have a YouTube tutorial video I'm gonna follow that they put up on how to put this guy together. Hope this thing didn't break in shipping.
Lunchtime!
That's very exciting.
Hey, if any patrons work for Jimmy John's and you want to work out a sponsorship, give me a holler. These got here in 10 minutes.
That's nuts. Don't hurt yourself, man.
That was a mistake.
Ta-da! Everything looks to be in pretty good shape. I mean, it's a lot of metal. It's part of the reason I wanted this. It seems like it's really well built. They even left a little smiley face here. It's very nice. Got a bunch of extra parts. These are the springs that go on the different arms, the directions, some attachments, and my very own wrench. This looks like it's the top. I wonder if this platen was just slid on here for shipping, because it's not in the picture. Yeah, I mean, it's listed separately in the item, so I'm just gonna slide this off and put on the feet. No! This lip is too big. I'm gonna need to put something under these braces in order to lift this up a little bit, like some 2x4s. This is a temporary setup until I get everything assembled and see what kind of setup room I'm gonna need for this beast. Some of you may be asking, Britt, why don't you just build your own screen printing machine? There is actually a great video tutorial if that's something you want to try by Bob from I Like to Make Stuff. I'll link that video down in the description. But me personally, I just don't have the time to invest in making a machine like that. Maybe in the future, if we can figure out a specific cosplay need, we'll put something up on Punish Props Academy for a DIY screen printer. But I need one that's like ready for production. I really just want to start trying to make shirts. Already buying a kit that's mostly put together is just a huge time saver to me. And again, I know it's gonna work. If it doesn't work, I have customer support I can go to and figure out if it's me or the machine that is having the problem. I'm trying to add the springs to these guys. Looks like the hooks are supposed to face. This one went on really easily. This one has a little bit of a gap. Oh, it's because it's hitting the top of this guy. Said the next step was to lower this down, so let's see what happens when I lower it. Oh, whoops, it came undone. All right, so I attach those, and then we'll lower that. There's a reason there's a caution sign next to this step. There we go. All right, so that's lowered into place. Now there's room to attach this next one. Okay, I guess now I just raise these back up and this rubber bolt should stop them. Woo! Hey! Look at that. We did it! Wait, it's on backwards. So we have the platen where the t-shirt goes, and this is the fine adjustment so that every time one of these guys comes by, they go down in the exact same spot. Like that. It already looks like it's pretty good. It's time to try putting a screen in here. So this whole thing is going to go down and is matched up in this area right here. So that's how it's nice and straight. But you want it to not be touching the platen. There's supposed to be a certain amount of off contact, and it was recommended to use a sheet of non-flexible wood, plastic, or metal. I got this guy. This is like, I don't know, an 1/8 inch. This is actually easier to push down now that there's a screen on there. Awesome. Yeah, I'm supposed to loosen these two guys and just the top screw here. This controls the angle and this controls the height. There we go. That looks much better. I was being way too gentle with the angle, so I loosened that up and wiggled this around while the height adjustment ones were also loosened. So that gives me a nice even gap along there. This is the master transparency, and I really appreciate that the Screenprinting company sent us this. You know what, I'll link to a couple of videos down below of how this process works. It's really rad. So, but this is also useful to line up the print. I drew some lines on here just to kind of get it centered. These are some blank t-shirts that we were playing around with. It's so interesting looking this stuff up online. Like, I was like, how do you align this shirt so it's like perfectly even left and right? And all the information I found, people were like, oh, I just do it by feel. Because you can feel where the seams are on either side when you pull this on. And it's just practice, which is nuts to me. That's kind of straight. What I've seen people do is when they're using the same style of t-shirt, they'll trace where the collar goes each time. This is just a extra one. It's not the kind of shirt we're going with. This will be good for practicing. I can at least line this up so it's centered. So now I'm just looking for the height. People are saying it's normally a hand width away from the top of the collars, maybe a little lower. Transparency is lightly taped down. So now when I put this down, I can see, yeah, look at that. Can see that it doesn't line up. Now this whole platen can move back and forth, so I'll shift this out and then I can start worrying about the left and right. All right, this whole thing's been shifted that way. Now it can go, nope, left. I meant left. Oh, look at that. That is so handy. Perfectly registered. So if you're doing multiple colors, you'd have multiple screens and you would register each one on the transparencies, which is really cool. And then you're all set up to go. So now this can be removed. And I think instead of starting with paper, I have a bunch of t-shirts that when we were trying direct-to-garment printing, yeah, here's one that we tried getting printed through a website, and it feels so thick and crunchy. I don't know, it feels like plastic, and I think that's the like the Plastisol kind of stuff, or I guess whatever they use in a machine that just prints the shirt. Also, this ended up being big, but I think I'm going to just throw this on there at not the right t-shirt location and just try doing one below it, and so I can compare the two. I did mask off the top as well, so I'll be putting ink here and it'll be going down that way, back and forth. It is time to try putting adhesive down on this. It smells like PVA glue. And the main reason for this is that you don't want the shirt to shift when you set the screen down. And if you're doing multiple colors, when you lift it up, the shirt's going to want to come with it because it kind of is attached where the ink's attached. So this should keep it in place. You can see with this larger logo that I got printed, it looks fine when it's flat, but when you're wearing it, it goes so far to the sleeves. Like this part is wrinkled and this part is wrinkled and you can't read the full thing. So there's so much to learn about t-shirt designing. And Speedball has their own tutorial videos as well. They said that the thickness of their paint should be like yogurt, and that you can add water to it to make it a little more watery. But I mean, that looks yogurty to me. This is exciting and terrifying at the same time. And I do recommend to put a lot of ink down, and when you're done for the day, to scrape what's left over back into the container. Don't press down into the shirt and just flood the screen. Oh, that looks so red! That already looks cool and it's not even on the shirt. Okay, I'm gonna set it down. Even pressure. Pull once. Pull twice. Lift it up. Try and flood the screen as best I can. Set the platen on it. Lift it up, hopefully it doesn't slide down. Oh, it's gonna slide. All right, set it down. Oh my God, look at it. Look at it. Oh my gosh, look at how white that looks. That worked way better than I thought it would. The way that the water-based ink works is there's a solvent in this that needs to evaporate before you can heat set this. So it's one of the downsides of it. You can use a forced air machine. It's basically like a giant hair dryer conveyor belt that will evaporate this and then start heating it. But I'm just gonna pop this off and set it aside to dry and try this some more. I think I got 2 successes, this one and this one. The rest of these, that one was too thick. That one was pretty faded. I mean, it looks cool faded, but it just wasn't even coverage, not what I was going for. This one was pretty thick. And this was the mismatched one because I didn't have enough adhesive on and the shirt jumped up when I tried to do a second pull. I mean, ideally you wouldn't have to do that. Now, these shirts aren't done. If I don't heat set these, this will apparently come off in the wash. And I think I want to do a comparison where one of them I don't heat set and then I'll throw them all in the wash together and see if that one survives. But you have to let the solvent evaporate because this is water-based. So you can use a hair dryer or just leave it overnight or use, you know, forced air system if you have one. And then you have to, specifically with the speedball ones, you just lay a piece of paper down over it and iron it on the setting for the shirt material. So if it's like a blend, you put on, you know, the synthetic blend on the iron and you iron it for 2 minutes. And that, I guess, is about the 250 to 300 degree mark, and you have to have it there for 1 to 2 minutes. And after that, when you put it in the wash, this will apparently have stained the fabric and it won't like crack or fade. It just changes the fabric's color, apparently. Hopefully that works out. And that's it for this video. I'm glad you got to come along on this adventure with me. This is a reminder to me about how like you can watch video tutorials on something and think you have an understanding of it, but it isn't until you get the feel of something that you realize where the problem spots are. Like things I didn't even realize would be an issue are coming up, and they're things I have to just get used to. And I think now I can go back and watch some tutorial videos and have a better understanding now that I've tried it myself. I'm going to keep practicing, and then I'm going to try moving on to doing the 2-screen Punish Props Academy shirt, but I'm not quite sure I'm ready for that yet. Thank you for watching. Thank you, patrons, so much for the support, and I'm glad I got to share this with you and look forward to more interesting videos where I try stuff and learn things. I'll see you later.